Taiwan's former president, Ma Ying-jeou, stood in front of the Sun Yat-sen Mausoleum in Nanjing on Tuesday and urged people on both sides of the Taiwan Strait to work together for peace, because we are all Chinese, he said. The 73-year-old is in China for a historic visit, the first visit by an incumbent or former Taiwanese president since 1949. The Taiwanese government and people are increasingly opposed to the prospect of Chinese rule, and few identify as Chinese. But Ma, who was president from 2008 to 2016, believes he can help the peace process. The people on both sides of the Taiwan Strait are Chinese people, and both are descendants of the Yang and Yellow emperors, he said, using Chinese terms to refer to ethnicity rather than nationality. We sincerely hope that the two sides will work together to maintain peace, avoid war, and revitalize China. This is an inevitable responsibility of the Chinese people on both sides of the strait, and we must work hard. The symbolism of any Taiwanese leader visiting China is important and has drawn protesters to the airport in Taipei. Ma's arrival was reportedly provided with president-level security and was greeted on Monday by a deputy director of China's Taiwan Affairs Office. The visit also coincided with a major trip by current President Tsai Ing-wen to the US and Central America this week. The visits ahead Taiwan's presidential election early next year raised a series of questions about how two sides' politics are dealing with the two most important external factors in Taiwan's future, China and United States. Taiwan independence activists gathered in front of Taoyuan Airport to protest Ma Ying-jeou's visit to China. Ma remains a strong affiliate of the Kuomintang Party, and his visit has been criticized by Taiwan's ruling Democratic Progress Party, which accuses him of approving Beijing's Taiwan policy with his trip. To counteract, Ma and his camp emphasized that the visit focused on paying homage to their ancestors buried there and leading a student body. They said he would not visit Beijing or meet with Chinese President Xi Jinping, but they also cited his ability to repair relations, which they said had been ruined by Tsai's foreign policy. Jean Beaujeu, a research fellow at the Stockholm-based Institute for Security and Development Policy, said Ma views closer ties with China as an important prerequisite for Taiwan's international space. Ma's trip aims to show that there are still peaceful options for people on both sides of the Taiwan Strait. Tsai will leave Taiwan on Wednesday and pass through New York before heading to allied Guatemala and Belize on April 1st to 5th. On its way back, it is scheduled to stop in Los Angeles on April 5th, before returning to Taiwan 2 days later. U.S. portions of the 10-day trip officially breaks. The U.S. government, which does not recognize Taiwan as a country, treats such visits with extreme caution, and observers noted that the length and conditions of each stop often vary depending on the geopolitical climate. This will be Tsai's sixth transit through the U.S. since 2016, but tensions are now at their highest in decades. Less than a year has passed since then U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi visited Taiwan. Pelosi's successor, Republican Kevin McCarthy, also wanted to visit. Internally, however, Taipei did not support the idea, and it seems that Tsai's break, said to include a meeting with McCarthy in California, was designed in part to prevent a repeat of the Pelosi drama. The Chinese Communist Party accuses Tsai and the DPP of being separatists. Tsai says Taiwan is already an independent state and does not need to declare independence, but spends most of his tenure seeking military and diplomatic support from like-minded governments around the world. The U.S. most important is up the law provide Taiwan with tools it needs to defend itself, and generally expected, but not guaranteed, have its support if China attacks. Huibo Huan, a professor diplomacy at National Cheng Kai University, and a former Deputy General Secretary of KMT, said Tsai's transit stop shows importance United States for Taiwan's self-defense and world's great need for moral support. However, I hope he does not accept without question and negotiation what Washington has proposed, he said. Skip the promotion first thing for the free daily outside parties. After promotion, the DPP will use Tsai's trip to announce his success in managing relations with the United States and to show that Taiwan has a greater international reach than ever before despite losing official diplomatic allies, says David Fell, director of the Center for Taiwan Studies at SOAS. But Beijing, which has refused to engage with Tsai since his election in 2016, has filed a complaint with the United States about the visit, accusing him of supporting Taiwan's independence. The United States has warned Beijing not to use normal travel as an excuse for any aggressive behavior, and Taiwan's Deputy Defense Minister told Parliament this week that China has yet to show any signs of unusual military deployments in the region. President Tsai Ing-wen during an official visit to a military base in Chiayi, Taiwan, last week. While both sides hope to boost Taiwan's security with their visit, there are also local factors at play. Presidential elections will be held on the island in January, and Tsai has reached his two-term limit and will resign. Fell says Ma's trip is part of the KMT's strategy to influence its electoral position for next year and beyond. Ma is clearly interested in his own historical legacy, but at the same time wants to shape KMT's China policy, and since leaving office, has tried to make sure it doesn't stray from Chinese relations positions set during party's presidency, said. Despite two disastrous electoral defeats, party has been quite successful in keeping its Chinese policy largely unchanged. Citizens in Taipei are watching the visits closely. There are two sides to choose from, US or China, and the DPP chose US, said 28-year-old student Alicia. Some Taiwanese think it's okay for Ma to visit China, but there are many opposing views when talking about Tsai's visit to the US. Yen Chun Huo, 22, says Taiwan and China are enemy, and it's better to seek alliances with the United States. Ma Ying-jeou's visit to China seems like it will make China treat Taiwan better, but I don't think so. If you show weakness to the enemy all the time, he will only lose respect for you and get more use out of you. Kai Hui Lim contributed to this report.